All right, people, bit of breaking news. Ben Whittaker announced last week that he'd be signing with Matchroom. Now, they've actually got a press conference this Friday, I would imagine somewhere in London, because Eddie Hearn's doing a show on the York Hall on Friday. I was thinking, okay, they'll announce his next date. Maybe not the opponent, but they'll at very least announce his next date on that Friday press conference. It also shows how big a signing this is for Matchroom because it's very seldom that you see promoters do a big launch press conference, especially on the day of a fight, for a new signing. So Ben Whittaker, Matchroom, DAZN, that's going to be a big thing. Now, me and Ade on Ade and G-Man last week, we talked about this obviously because it was breaking news, it was key news, and we also talked about when he needs to be out. Now, Ade was saying that he wants to see Ben Whittaker out soon, but also wants to do a big show in Birmingham. And I was saying, well, I want to see Ben Whittaker out soon as well, purely for the simple reason he's been out of the ring way too long. But if you want to do a show in Birmingham, at the time I was thinking you might need to wait until next year, see what dates you have, availability, etc., etc., etc. So I was thinking more likely we'll see him on the Monaco show. No, Eddie Hearn is going to get him out at the end of November. So November, which is already a stacked month, it's going to get even bigger. It says Ben Whittaker will face a man by the name of Benjamin Gavazi, I believe is how you pronounce his name, in a light heavyweight clash on November the 29th. It will be in the Midlands, in the land that time forgot, Birmingham. And Carmen Vagu, I'm butchering that name, will face Gavin Gwynn in a rematch. Now, I have to say, I hadn't heard of the opponent. He is a German light heavyweight. His record is 19-1 with 13 knockouts. He lost his professional debut. So he had his debut in November of 2018, lost that on points to a guy called Rotman Ibrahim. Good lord, that nose looks like it had a stroke. It's so one-sided. His record is 13-1. Who did he lose to? A guy I've never heard of. So you look at this guy's resume, who he's fighting, and to be honest with you, like again, I've said this before. There are journeymen on domestic scenes and stuff like that you'd know of, that you would know of. That some of them in the UK would fight, some abroad would fight. You just know some names. They're not good, but you'd have heard of them. I mean, I'm literally struggling with this guy. I mean, there's just literally no one here I've ever heard of. There's literally none. He's 30 years old. Record doesn't really scream out really anything. And this is the guy Ben Whittaker's going in there with. You could argue, seriously, that this is maybe a step down from Liam Cameron. And listen, Ben Whittaker has had, by the time he gets in the ring, it'll be 7 months out of the ring, right? He is still a prospect. But Eddie Hearn and Matchroom in that statement made it out as though Ben Whittaker was this, signing to end all signings, not just in terms of the name value, but in terms of, him as a fighter, that he's going to be this incredible light heavyweight who can do this and he's going to do that and he's going to take over the world. Surely you can get a better opponent than that, if that's the case. A lot of people on the weekend were very annoyed, not necessarily, well, yes and no, because Boots Ennis, when he fought on the weekend, he fought a guy who was grossly overmatched, let's be real, stopped him in a round. But at the end of the day, he's having his first fight at 154 pounds, all that good stuff. But for people like Todd Grisham to say, could he be one of the best of all time we've ever seen? For Eddie Hearn to say that this guy is, argue, it's like, mate, you beat a guy who, no one knows and, struggled with a loss to Aaron McKenna, no offense. What does that tell you? That would be like literally, it's like, literally, this is what it is. He was turning around saying, Eddie Hearn, that, AJ Usyk, if they have a trilogy fight, it'll be different after AJ knocks out Francis Ngannou. I was almost swore there, for God's sake. I mean, like, there's hype and then there's just, I think boxing fans don't like being taken for fools. I certainly don't, and I don't think boxing fans do. When you can see it clearly that, like, this, what is this? You're telling me he's this, that, and the other. He's all these superlatives. He's all these things and more. Could you not find him someone slightly better? Like, what's wrong with Craig Richards? Craig Richards would be a great fight. That'd be perfect. Craig Richards coming off a good bit of form, beat Patrick McCoy, or McCoy, or however you say his last name. Did well, actually, last time. I think that was on, can't remember what undercard that was on, but he looked good. Did good doing it. Could you not, like, is there not anybody better we can get than this guy? No offense, but I'm just saying that. Because I think, again, if Ben Whittaker, and again, I think Ben Whittaker is still a prospect, but at the end of the day, if you're going to come with all that hype, and still, I think Liam Cameron, arguably, this is a step down from Liam Cameron, arguably, right? So That's who Ben Whittaker's in there with against next. As I said, I will tune in, I will watch it, but I don't know. I think that's kind of, taking a little bit of the steam out of the excitement of seeing Ben Whittaker back, because I really did think with the way he was presented, certainly in that statement, that we would be seeing him in a competitive fight, or a fight that on paper looks competitive. This guy here, he's literally fought nobody. Like, he lost his pro debut, and look, Bernard Hopkins lost his pro debut. It happens, but again, he's literally fought nobody. And he lost that on points, which is not a good look, because it means you can't adjust over a 4 round, or even he wanted to be lost out every round. So yeah, not exactly happy with the opponent. Also, there's a rumor mill going around, right? And Ben Shalom, you'd wonder would he do this just to spite him? We all know Ben Shalom has his first BBC show, or is supposed to have his first BBC show on October 25th, which is going to be Jamie TKV Fraser Clark, right? We know that, right? But we're hearing rumours that TKV has suffered an injury, and that fight date is going to be pushed back, which sounds good, because then it's not going to be clashing with Frank Warren. So we're thinking, okay, October 25th is clear. Guess what the reported date that we're hearing, if in fact this is true, but I've heard a few people reporting it, and they're normally spot on. Guess what the reported date is? You guessed it, October 29th. And given the fact that, again, it is the BBC, and he'd do it at that exact time as well, that would take so many eyes off Eddie Hearn and Ben Whittaker. It'd be crazy. Because again, BBC Two, free to air, all that stuff. So yeah, seems like the war lines have been drawn. I hope that's sounding all right, because that turned over a little bit. I hope that sounds okay now. That's the one thing about the mic, is it's wireless, so you need to keep an eye on it. But yeah, those are my thoughts. In terms of Ben Whittaker, look, I like Ben Whittaker. I like watching him. I think that there is some talent there. It needs to be nurtured. But I think he can do better than this, certainly. And certainly, if you're going to, you see, again, if you're going to come with all that hype, don't try and gaslight us into thinking, oh, Ben Whittaker is fighting this guy, therefore, he's the best in the division, against who, this guy no one heard of. Boots Ennis fights a guy who, again, no one heard of, shouldn't have been in the ring. He's one of the greatest we've ever seen. It's like, really? Terence Crawford probably would have done the same. I think that's what fans don't like, and I think that's something that really, maybe Eddie Hearn, it's a concept still lost on him, that people don't like being taken for fools, but they can see the forest for the trees. We can see that they're fighting guys that are not the best. The record might look, oh, they only got one loss, but still, Anthony Yard was fighting guys 2 years ago who only had like 2 or 3 losses, but were they good? Hell no. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. And until next time, but I'll leave it there. I'll see you in the home studio. Peace.